Welcome everyone. Welcome. This is week 7 of the RIAK Discovery series. Just about 45 seconds till we get started. So let's do a quick little intro for anybody that's new. But thanks very much to everybody for your company on Zoom. For anyone that is new to these sessions, my name is Rich. I'm the head coach and founder of RIAK Fitness. We're a coaching business looking after triathletes, cyclists, basically anybody crazy enough to do any sort of endurance sport. I'll talk a little bit more about who we are in a second. But we've just got about 15 seconds till we get going. Okay, so let's get ready then. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off we go. Okay, so we've got an absolute cracking set for you in this session, guys. Okay, so for anyone that is new to the Discovery series, basically every single session is a session, an attempt to learn a little bit more about yourself as a rider. Okay, so we have had, well, we started out with an FTP test. I'm just going to tell you just how fit you are. Not sure why I sound that so funny, mainly because I know how brutal it is. We've had hill rep sessions, we've had all kinds of stuff really, anaerobic sessions, speed endurance sessions, basically just covering every possible aspect of what it is to be a well-balanced rider. And in this session we're hitting some Vo2max time trial efforts. Okay, so a quick heads up that you are going to need to turn erg mode off at some point. If you're unfamiliar with how to do that, you don't need to do this now, but the way you do it is you go to the sensors menu in RGT, top right hand corner there's an erg tab. When we prompt you, you're going to turn that off. Okay, and what that's going to do is going to take you out of erg mode, and then it's going to start to simulate the course in front of you. We're on Canary Wharf for this one. Chosen it particularly. So yes, anyway, I won't go into that just now. But we turn ergoing off, so it'll simulate the course, and you'll be responsible for your gearing, etc. Okay, so we'll be telling you to do that after the warm-up. But now though, just relax, pedal up. I'm cruising around. Wow, what am I? I'm sort of just over 1 watt per kilo at the moment, but I'll be cruising around generally at around 2 watts per kilo. Already trained today, definitely don't need any more. I did my own sort of Vo2max focus session, and I'm a shell of a man. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit more about RIAK, who we are and what we do. Sorry, there is always the customary plug at the beginning of these sessions. So we are a coaching outfit. Specialising in tailored training programs, supervised and unsupervised. In particular, we've got our squad membership, which involves both a supervised and fully tailored program setup, but also our squad members get a huge amount of other benefits, including video swim assessments, testing, audio swim sets as standard. They get a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you're interested at all, head to our coaching page. We also have got a great library of on-demand programs, guys, just focusing on specific things. So if you do kind of discover something as a part of this Discovery series, which is kind of the point of it, we may well have a specific training plan for you. Okay, so head to our website. These sessions though, they're all just for you guys. We do them every week. This particular session, as I said, we're hitting the Vo2max TTs, little time trials. So what we're aiming to do really is to hit both ends of the Vo2max spectrum. So for anyone that's not familiar with Vo2max, it's the maximum volume of oxygen that you can basically use at any one time. Okay, the maximum volume of oxygen that you can kind of metabolize, that you can use. So once you go beyond that point, you're working pretty much entirely anaerobically. So your Vo2max actually is measured in litres, but to try and make kind of things a little bit more manageable, we do kind of basically stick your Vo2max in amongst. Oh, here we go. Just hide the chat. We do stick the Vo2max in amongst a broad power range, basically. Okay, so that's kind of what we're testing in this session. So testing both ends of that power range, which sits somewhere between about 106% of FTP to up to 120%. And then once you get beyond about 120%, once you get beyond about 120%, you're pretty much all entirely anaerobically. This is all quite arbitrary, guys, okay? Everyone has their own specific training zones, etc. But just to kind of help people understand what's going on. So the way this manifests itself is we've got this hopefully nice and relaxed warm-up as we build through zone 2 up to around 72% of FTP. We then got those 3 little fast pedaling efforts, and then we get straight into it, guys. It's a pretty aggressive start. Okay, we start off firstly by ditching erg mode before we get there, but we then got this long 8-minute effort. Okay, it's basically as hard as you can go for 8 minutes. We've got a target in there. Okay, the target we have, so I'm just getting up, is 110% of FTP. Okay, so you're just above your FTP, and we're out of erg mode, so your challenge really is to hold it, and then once you're within sight of the finish, it's just to lift, go as hard as you can. Okay, you then got a long recovery sector, so that whole middle sector of the session is kind of recovery effectively. So we're looking to freshen you up before we hit those 3 pillars at the end of the session, which are 2-minute efforts. Okay, so you can see we're working both ends of the spectrum, 110% for that full 8 minutes, which is 8 minutes is kind of the max that you can hold a Vo2max level for. And then we're hitting the higher powered end of the spectrum, just as you're breaching into kind of anaerobic power. Okay, so those minutes to the end, those efforts to the end are 2 minutes long. So it's quite a straightforward session. There's nothing kind of sneaky about it. It's just very hard work. Okay, but I tell you, once you get through that aggressive start, that 8-minute effort at the beginning, basically those 3 2-minute efforts are a dream. Okay, so it is very kind of front loaded. So let's get ourselves ready. Okay, so let's make sure our cadence is where it needs to be right now. So we want to be at least above 85 RPM right now. So spinning up, okay. Nice and relaxed still though. Make sure you're getting the fluids on board as well. Always really important to make sure you're well fueled and hydrated, particularly for a session like this, where you will be burning through your glycogen. Okay, glycogen is the storage form of glucose, sits in your muscles and liver, and it's basically, for a high intensity effort, your primary source of fuel. Okay, not much fat burning going on this one as such. Perhaps after the session, but not so much in the session, because you're just utilizing whatever your body can get its hands on, so to speak, and that's going to be your carbohydrate stores, your glycogen stores. Okay, so make sure if you've not eaten in a while, make sure you've had something to eat. Even jump off now and get something. Honestly, you're going to need it. Anyway, guys, so now just settle in, just chill out, spin up your legs. We've just got about, what are we on? Just under 2 minutes onto the final step of the warm-up before we get into those fast pedaling efforts. So all we're going to do there is just ask you to spin up your legs upwards of 100 RPM, and that's just going to help switch on your fast twitch muscle fibers. Ideally, we would have like a pre-main set before we got into that 8-minute effort, but I think if we did a session beyond an hour, nobody would come. Okay, so let's really make sure that we're revving it up on those fast pedaling efforts. Okay. So well done, everyone. Keeping it nice and steady. about that. RGT looks like it's been a bit glitchy, so let's turn the graphics down so it runs a bit faster. Okay, so here we go then, guys. So we've gotten through that first 10 minutes. We're coming towards the end of it at least. And let's get ready to go now. Got those fast pedaling efforts coming up, going up to around 80% of FTP. They're short, they're about 30 seconds long, so you've not got long to get those legs going. But here we go, here's the first one. Okay, we're looking to get upwards of 100 RPM on the legs. So let's get them going, guys, come on. You haven't got long until we really get stuck into it. So use this as an opportunity to rev them up. So soften the elbows there, okay? Draw your shoulders away from the ears. Try to avoid bouncing up and down. And the way to do that is to engage your core, soften the elbows. Last few seconds. Spinning up the legs. And relax. Well done. Okay, so that's round one. We've got 2 more of those to go. Down to an easy cruising speed in between for just about a minute. Really great to see so many RIAK jerseys on the course, guys. Just remember you can change your avatar kit to the RIAK kit if you want to. Pretty cool kit in my opinion. Crafted with the masters at Miltag. We're a custom design company. Great guys. Just in case you're wondering where it's from. So 20 seconds till we get going for round 2. So this time, let's try and get to around 110 RPM. That is the kind of target that's in RGT. Okay then, guys. Let's get ready to rev it up. Here we go. Round 2. Come on. Let's get those legs going. Pedal up, pedal up. Switch on those fast twitch muscle fibers. Keep it going, keep it going. Up to 110 RPM, remember. Come on, near there. Okay, and relax. Okay, back down to a cruising level, about 65% of FTP. All right. So we will talk more about Vo2max, etc. We've got that long section in the middle, so I hope you guys have got your questions. I was keeping the social channels open, but unfortunately somebody decided to proliferate that with unhelpful material. So we'll keep that shut down. But you can ask questions in the Zoom feed, or I am keeping an eye on the comments on our Facebook channel. Anyway, probably not thinking about that so much at the moment. You got one more fast pedaling effort going, and then we're going to prompt you to turn erg mode off. Okay, so just a quick FYI, once we get through this next fast pedaling effort, you've not got long to turn erg mode off. Okay, so you're going to need to be Johnny on the spot on that one, which I have no idea if that's an English expression. I don't know if that translates to any of our international friends. Okay, here we go. So final fast pedaling effort, we want to top out 120 RPM on this one. Really get it going, come on. Spin those legs up. Halfway. Keep it going, near there. And relax. Well done. Okay, let's get that erg mode off. So remember how to do that. Go to the sensors menu in RGT. There's a tab on the top right hand corner. It says erg, turn that off. This is if you're on a smart trainer or a smart bike, guys. If you've got a power meter and standard turbo set up, don't worry too much about it. But if you've got a smart trainer, turn that erg mode off. You've not got long till we get cracking, okay? We're getting right into it. Going straight up to 110% of FTP. We've chosen this course because it isn't perfectly flat. It's going to throw in some interruptions, just as it would in a normal time trial. Okay guys, let's get ready to it, come on. Let's get that gearing settled, and let's get ready to pick it up. We're going out to 110% of FTP. Ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Here we go then. Come on, guys, let's pick it up. Let's build into it. It is early in the session, so don't feel you have to go straight up to power. Give yourself 30 seconds or so to build into it, to find that gear. Just make sure you keep that leg speed nice and high. Okay, we want to be well above 90 RPM, probably closer to 100. All right, we do not want to get stuck pushing a big heavy gear, which is going to fatigue us more quickly. Nice and efficient. So I'll just give you a minute or so to get up to power. Once you're up to power, then it's time to try and relax as much as possible. So draw the shoulders away from the ears, soften the elbows. That's going to plant your bum in the saddle. It's going to give you a firmer basis from which to produce power. Fortunately, when you're on the turbo, you can't really wrestle the bike in the same way. It's actually better to relax as much as possible and just let the legs do the work. Okay, 111. Should be up to power now. Don't worry about the peaking and dropping in your power, okay? Just do your best to keep it steady. You're not on a perfectly flat course. There are going to be interruptions. The easiest way to keep your power steady is to keep your cadence steady. Keep your cadence steady and nice and high, above 90 RPM. Excellent stuff, everyone. Get that leg speed nice and high, guys. So you get stuck in a heavy gear. Okay, break it up as well, guys, okay? Break it up into 2-minute segments. And then don't try not to think too far ahead. Okay, we talk about this pretty much every week about breaking intervals up. Compartmentalize it, just helps it feel a little bit more manageable, okay? Well done, everyone. Okay, you're not far from being halfway through already, okay? Into the final 45 seconds of the first half of it. So keep it going, stay focused. Keep driving, keep that leg speed high. This is a brutal and a very aggressive start to the session. But then you've got a long cruise period. So don't hold anything back. This is a time trial, remember. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Nearly at halfway now. There we go, that's the halfway point. Okay, 4 minutes. So now let's break it down into two 2-minute sectors. Okay, just think about the next 2 minutes. Don't think anywhere beyond that. Check the heart rate, check the cadence. Keep that power as smooth as possible. More than anything, just keep on going, guys. You can do this, everyone. You can do this. I know this is probably starting to bite. You just got to fight to keep that leg speed up, okay? It takes discipline. It's not easy to do when your legs just want to slow down and you want to get stuck into a heavy gear, but I promise you, you get suck it into pushing a heavy gear, you will fatigue even more quickly. Okay, so battle to keep that leg speed going. You're nearly there. Just a little bit further on this penultimate 2-minute sector. And then it's just 2 minutes to go, okay? So keep it going, you're nearly there. Keep it going, keep it going. Right, we're coming up to the last 2 minutes. So let's see if we can lift it for the final 2 minutes, everyone. Ready? Here we go then. Okay, last 2 minutes, last final 2 minute sector. Let's see if we've got anything left. Just lift it a touch. We're not talking about sprinting. Just a few extra watts on top. Keeping that leg speed nice and high still. Come on, guys, you can do this. Keep it going, keep it going. Not far, and then you're into the last 60 seconds. So keep driving it. Just stay focused. Just keep pushing all the way. Tons of recovery after this, okay? So do not worry about the rest of the session. Right, let's lift it one last time for the last minute. Come on. Push it. Let's go, let's go, let's go. "45 seconds, all the way to the end." Right, let's really go for it in that final 30 seconds, okay? Hey, let's lift it, come on. And then when we get to 15 seconds to go, we're going to throw everything at it, okay? Finish super, super hard. Ready? Ready? Let's go, come on. Final 15, let's go. Push, push, push. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Guys, excellent work. Relax, relax, relax. Well done. Really good stuff, guys. Really good. Down to zone 1 to the recovery area. About 40% of FTP. Just chill. Okay. So you got 4 minutes of pure recovery, and then we've got, what is that? 15 minutes of then cruising, okay? So you got tons of recovery, almost too much recovery. Don't know what we're going to fill this time with. Don't you worry, I can talk forever. For now, guys, just relax, get the fluids back on board, recover. So that, guys, is, believe it or not, the lower end of Vo2max. Obviously low power, so you can hold it for a relatively long time. Okay, so we tested the lower end right at the end of the session. Those final 3 efforts, we're going to test the upper end of your Vo2max, just on the bridge of going almost purely anaerobic. So it's a very broad spectrum. So ideally, so we use 7 training zones, and they are arbitrary. I think that's the thing to note, really. But they are really useful training zones in terms of delineating when your different metabolic systems kick in. I'm not going to go through that. We covered that in other sessions, and there's plenty of information about that stuff on our website, on the RIAK online page in the online training sources section. But zone 5, your Vo2max power range, was a really useful one. Okay, it's where we work a lot during racing. I did a crit at the weekend, and so much VO2 max effort and anaerobic effort. Makes your eyes water. Same with e-racing. You know, we've got the VCN National Championships coming up this weekend. If anyone's not heard about that, get yourself signed up. That is going to be a lot of fun. It's nice and short as well, so it doesn't really matter how well, kind of how experienced you are, how well developed your fitness is. Just give it a shot. It'll be about 25 to 30 minutes of hard work, and then you'll be done. But it's these VO2 max types of efforts that is going to take that win. Basically, all the climbs on the Leuven circuit are, you know, a few minutes long, very anaerobic / VO2 maxy. Okay, so we've tested the lower end, we'll test the higher end, and basically, guys, the purpose of this is firstly just to see how well developed your VO2 max is in terms of the power that you can hold. All right, but also it will give us a kind of an indication of where your strengths lie, because what I would like you to do is after the session is just look back over your data. Just take you a couple of minutes, but have a look at how well developed, how well delivered that 8-minute effort was, how consistent your power was. Okay, have a look at your aerobic decoupling factor. So if you're not familiar with that, guys, again, let's assess something we've covered in another session. You can find that in our know-how area. Aerobic decoupling has been basically your power and your heart rate are linked. Okay, aerobic decoupling is when basically they separate for one reason or another, typically because, you know, you're holding the same power, but you just can't hack that power anymore, and your heart rate starts to rise and decouple away from your power. So you're basically still holding the same power, but having to work harder for it. Okay, so see what that is. If it's below 5% for that 8-minute effort, that's really good. Okay. For now though, we've just kicked up to back up to zone 2. So guys, if you do want to turn ergo mode back on for this cruise section, you can do, but just remember to turn it off before we get to the 2-minute efforts at the end, because I can't guarantee I'll remember to tell you to turn it off. Otherwise, guys, I would just relax, cruise. We're looking for about 65% of FTP, zone 2 effort, or to put it more simply, just a 4 out of 10 effort. Okay, 10 being a full-on sprint. So we're just going to cruise for about 15 minutes, and you might think, well, that's a long time. I came here to work hard. Trust me, you won't be thinking that at the end of the session. All right, and I imagine you're not actually thinking that, because that 8-minute effort is bloody horrible. So just relax, guys, and just remember, unfortunately I've had to turn the social channels chat off, but for the guys on Zoom, if you've got any questions, guys, please do always feel free to unmute yourselves or use the Zoom chat, which I should probably open up. Doesn't have to necessarily be about VO2 max, guys. Just anything that you want to chat about. I've got material for days, so don't worry about that. It's not going to be tumbleweed, but it is always good if we can answer your questions rather than what I fancy talking about. Whilst you're having a little think about what you want to ask, because coming back to VO2 max, so basically the purpose of this session is, I talked about earlier about looking at your data after the session, looking at that aerobic decoupling factor on Training Peaks or whatever training software you might use. Don't worry if you don't use any. Training Peaks Premium is usually a good shout. You get some advanced metrics there, but there's also a free piece of software called Golden Cheetah, like the African cat, but yeah, cheetahs are definitely in Africa, right? Golden Cheetah, free, just not as user friendly, and you have to manually upload your data, but that will give you a lot of the same metrics. So yes, what we're looking for, how well you delivered that VO2 effort, how smooth your power delivery was, how high your cadence was, were you able to keep it above that 90 RPM baseline, looking at what's going on with your heart rate, where does it sit? It should be just above your aerobic threshold heart rate. Okay, and what it's going to tell us basically, guys, is how well you delivered that is going to tell us kind of how much you rely on an aerobic component. Okay, how much more of a time trialist are you than a crit racer or a road racer or a sprinter? So when you compare that 8-minute effort with the 2-minute efforts we're going to do at the end of the session, you know, you should be able to discern, and to be honest, you'll just feel it. You know, which effort did you feel most strong in? Which effort did you feel kind of really strong in? Because that's why we've got this long 15-minute sector, because the idea is to make sure you're nice and fresh again. You've recycled the lactate in your muscles, and we get to those 2-minute efforts at the end feeling hopefully nice and fresh, albeit, you know, you still will have done about, I don't know, 40 odd minutes of exercise, so you're not going to be, you know, straight out of bed fresh. Although let's face it, whoever feels fresh straight out of bed these days, I swear you get past 21 and yeah, you never feel fresh again, really. I'm in my 30s, just in case anyone's wondering. So yeah, hopefully you'll be nice and fresh for that, and then you should have a nice little comparison. Where do your strengths lie? Is it at the more aerobic end of Vo2max, or is it, do you really kind of come into your own when it gets to the anaerobic stuff? You might surprise yourself, particularly if you perhaps don't come up from like a cycling background as such. Perhaps you play team sports. You might well surprise yourself, because you play team sports, chances are you've got quite a good blend of anaerobic fast twitch muscle fibers. Okay, so that may well, yeah, sure. No, go for it. Yep. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the question was about the Mallorca 312. So if anyone doesn't know that, it's a big event on Mallorca. Very long. Are you doing the full 312? You'll see. You'll see. Yeah. So yeah, with the 312, you do get the option of kind of ducking out depending on how it's going. Lots of climbing. So it's a very tough, long event. Really, for something like that, I'm trying to remember I haven't done it personally, but I've got a couple of guys doing it this year. I'm trying to remember the course profile, but I think if I remember correctly, the climbs, there's nothing too crazy in terms of gradient. They're just long and steady. And so really what you're looking at there is kind of a tempo climb. And that's basically, yeah, the Vo2max stuff is going to be helpful, but really for something like the 312, it's all about that base endurance and that ability to hold a nice high tempo on the climbs. Okay, so a big part of that is going to be kind of being as efficient as possible, keeping your leg speed as high as possible, and just yeah, just being kind of as consistent as possible on a climb like that. But really for something like that, it's all about the base endurance. Okay, those long steady miles. I know it's probably what you were fearing I would say. I don't know how well prepared you are. but yeah, but don't fret. I mean, sorry, go on. I'll believe that when I see it. Yeah, I mean, the forecast for the UK at the moment is about a week and a half of sun, which I don't believe for a second. But yeah, just a quick thing about endurance training, guys. You can actually piece together quite a good amount of volume through frequency. So topping and tailing your day with shorter sessions is a good way of accumulating volume. Ideally, of course, you have those long, steady state endurance sessions at the weekend, but you can, of course, still piece together a lot of good, high quality volume by frequency. Okay, so yeah, there's no real substitute for those low intensity zone 2 miles, but piecing together low intensity zone 2 frequent miles can also really help. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. No worries. Absolutely, yeah, that's it. Nice to start the weekend, then smash yourself to pieces on a Wednesday. And for anyone that is interested in knowing a little bit more about why low intensity training is so important, we did a session recently. It will be somewhere on social media land, on our Facebook page or the Virtual Cycling News Facebook page. Basically all our sessions are available to rent alongside the training file. Okay, so but you might be able to dig it out on social media. We are getting a little bit better at making sure it comes off social media so that people rent the session instead, but I believe it's still up. So have a little dig around about that for that. If you want to know more about why low intensity base mileage is so important. I think also I watched it this morning. I was sort of semi-comatose still, so before our squad session this morning, but I think GCN did a short little video on it, why base mileage, low intensity training is so important. I don't actually remember any of it, guys. I was bored. I still hadn't had my coffee. So yeah, anyway, so there you go. So where have we got to? So we've got about just over 5 minutes of cruising left. So let's make sure we're still riding with good form, guys. Okay, so that cadence needs to be upwards of about 85 RPM. Okay, and then just a quick little reminder to relax. Whenever I say relax, guys, what I'm talking about is basically not doing this. Okay, I see it all the time. Straightened out arms, shoulders are shrugged to the ears. Okay, what I want you to do is just pull those shoulders away from the ears, soften the elbows. Okay, so it's going to do two things. Firstly, when you do that, it's going to put more weight on your bum and more weight onto the saddle, which means it's going to give you a stronger platform for turning those pedals over. Whereas if you're like this, it's very easy to start bouncing up and down. Obviously I'm exaggerating that massively, but nice soft elbows, nice open chest. It's also going to help you breathe just a touch easier. It's not going to make the difference, I'm afraid, guys. It's, it's a small thing, but let's face it, when you're at Vo2max, it's literally every kind of sort of milliliter of oxygen that matters. Okay, so just when you're at this sort of effort in particular, just keep telling yourself to relax. Unfortunately, it's not something that you really kind of do habitually. It's just something you have to keep reminding yourself to do. Okay, and one thing you'll also notice is that if I do this, my body starts to rock and roll a little bit. Whereas when I soften my arms, they act a little bit like shock absorbers and able to keep my chest a little bit more steady. Okay, so just a couple of little tips there, guys. So hopefully I'm guessing if people are able to ask questions there, hopefully feeling a little bit more fresh. Just got a few minutes until we hit those 2-minute efforts. So guys, do not think about these efforts. They are full gas. Okay, with the 8-minute effort, you of course had to pace yourself to a certain extent. But these are just full gas, guys. Okay, we've got the targets in there for about 120% of FTP, which is where we expect probably your average power for the effort to come out, around there. But just go for it, all right? Looking for a 2-minute PB if possible. And as you say, we're looking to see kind of where do you come out best? Where in proportionally we're talking, of course. Where do you come out best? The anaerobic end of the VO2 spectrum, or the more aerobic end? Let's see, shall we? There's a few more minutes. Get the fluids on board. You're probably not going to want to take on any fluids during, well, definitely not during or between those 2-minute efforts. Otherwise, it may come back to say hello to you, and we don't want that. Yet to see someone. Actually, I'm just going to stop that line of chat. So it's going to get a bit disgusting. Have to catch myself every now and then and just remember that I'm not chatting to our squad guys, and we're live streaming this as well. I also have to try and remember not to swear or criticize other people, which it turns out I'm a little bit of a bitch, and I do like a little bit of a moan, which is fine with our squad guys, but not so much when you're live streaming a session. Basically, be more professional. Right then, so we've just got under 2 minutes left of cruising before we get into battle stations. Okay, so let's get revved up a little bit. So let's pick up that leg speed. Let's make sure we're above 85 RPM. Still looking to hit that 65% of FTP target. Still looking to remain at sort of a 4 out of 10 effort. But we also want to start getting our mind drawn to it. So one of the problems you can have when you're on turbo and you're cruising at a level like this is the mind starts to drift. Okay, I am awful for picking up my phone when I'm in a recovery sector and starting to check emails and stuff, to the extent where I have to put it on do not disturb mode, and so that I get no notifications. I basically do not touch my phone other than to change the song. Okay, so let's bring the focus back to what we're doing. Right, you've got some hard efforts. You haven't got a ton of recovery in between them. So we're also testing your ability to repeat these hard 2-minute efforts, okay? So we're testing both your ability to produce power, but also your ability to recover and go again, which once again is super, super important when it comes to bike racing, particularly e-racing, because you rarely get very long between hard efforts. So got 20 seconds. Let's just start revving those legs up, getting well above 85 RPM now, getting ready to feed in that big gear. Erg mode off, yeah, absolutely. Sorry guys, did forget to tell you, I did warn you I'd forget. Okay, here we go then guys. Let's go, come on, afterburners on. 2-minute effort. That's, oh, well done. Who's that just gone past? I think that was Steve. Well done, mate. Absolute rocket. Good, 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 good. Push it, guys, push it. Okay, you're 30 seconds in. Drive it, drive it, drive it. Keep it going, guys. You're nearly halfway. Here we go then, here we go. Into the last 60 seconds. Let's try and lift it now. Come on, pick it up. Keep driving it, try and lift it again with 30 to go. And then we get to 10 seconds, final finishing sprint, okay? Push, push, push. Just over 30 seconds left. Seconds, let's lift it. Come on, you're nearly there, you're nearly there. Last 20 seconds. Let's start to look to open up that finishing sprint. 15. 10 seconds, let's go, come on. Last sprint. All the way to the end, all the way. Excellent, excellent stuff, guys. Well done. Well done. Okay, gather yourselves. Gather your breath. Once you've recovered a little bit, guys, start to bring the leg speed back up. It's fine if you're really just kind of gathering yourself after a horrible effort, but then start to pick your leg speed back up. Get it back to above 80 RPM when you can, because we haven't got long to recover and we want to be as efficient as possible during that recovery, okay? Well done, everyone. Really well done. So, there, guys, what you're doing is you're obviously stretching your VO2 max power as best you can, and then also leaning on your anaerobic energy systems, most notably your what's called your lactic acid system. Okay, it's a form of anaerobic energy production. Really good stuff. Okay, so that's one down. We've just got two 2-minute efforts left. Okay, so stay with it, guys. Stay focused. It's a big finish to the session, but then you're done. So just 4 minutes of hard work. Think of it that way. Okay. That's so just relax. Remember to pick that leg speed back up. Don't worry too much about the power target. You're just cruising, doing whatever you can to recover as quickly as possible, but make sure you pick that leg speed up. Little sips of water if you need to drink, but try not to take on too much. As I say, you won't be able to take it on board. Just little sips. Got less than a minute before we go again, alright? So let's get focused again. Alright? Pick up the leg speed, let's get ready. Just about 40 seconds. Okay, 30. So if we need to, just starting to fiddle with get our gearing right, make sure we're ready to lift it. So no thinking again, guys, as hard as you can go for 2 minutes, all right? It's a very blunt, effective method of hitting that anaerobic system. Ready, guys, come on. Let's do this. Big 2 minutes coming up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go then. Come on, guys. We're looking to try and hit the same sort of average power as we did last time. All right, just give it everything you've got. Do your best. Come on, guys, you can do this. Keep that leg speed nice and high. Want to be close to 100 RPM, really revving those legs up. Okay, into the last minute then. Pick it up, let's go, guys. Come on, guys, push it, push it, push it. Coming to the last 20 odd seconds. Get ready for that finishing sprint in the final 10 or so. Ready, guys, come on, you can do this. Let's finish it off then. Last 10 seconds, come on, fight, battle, let's go. Last couple of seconds. Good. Relax, well done. Well done. Well done, everyone. Just chill out. Okay. So you got a few minutes just recovering. Just once you get your breath back, start to pick up that leg speed again. We've just got one last effort of the evening, one last effort of the session, and then you are done. Okay, so it all comes down to this last big effort, guys. All right, we're out of erg mode still. We're just gonna hit it hard, do our best to keep it going. Okay, so this stuff is important, how you're able to repeat it. It's going to tell you a lot, guys. Okay, so if there's a dramatic drop off between the first and the third of these efforts, it's going to give you an indication of kind of how many matches you have to burn in a race. Okay, so your ability to recover from these sort of borderline purely anaerobic efforts. If perhaps there is a big drop off and you're perhaps not super experienced at this type of anaerobic effort, then yeah, maybe it's something you want to work on. That's what these sessions are all about, really, is helping you kind of discover where your strengths and weaknesses lie and where you want to perhaps develop. That's what these sessions are about, this discovery series. So don't stress if you're finding this astronomically hard. Firstly, it's a tough session, okay? Like, anybody will find this a tough session. But if you're finding this perhaps a lot harder than you might like, then don't worry, okay? This is all about discovering something about yourself. We're always here at RIAK to help you. So if you ever have any questions, do always feel free to drop us a message. But these are the sorts of efforts that you want to get better at if you've got designs on really improving your racing, whether that be e-racing or in the real world. So not long until we get into this third and final one, guys. So let's throw the kitchen sink at it. Again, another British phrase, I don't know whether that translates to our international crowd. Hopefully it does. It basically means just give it everything, guys. Here we go, come on, last effort. Hammer down, guys, come on. That's it, guys, come on. Last effort of the session. Really push it, everything you've got now. Empty the tank, don't hold anything back. Lift that leg speed, make sure it's well above 90 RPM. Get those legs going. You're nearly there, guys, you're nearly there. Just keep on driving. You're approaching the final minute. Here we go then, last minute of hard work of the session. Let's lift it, come on. Everything you got. About 45 to go. Afterburners on. Let's take it all the way through to the end. Imagine you're racing somebody. You've got that line in your sight. You come up to the last 30 seconds. Let's ride them off your wheel. Come on, guys, lift it. Last effort. 20 seconds. Let's get ready to open up that finishing sprint. Let's see what you got left. Come on. Ready? Ready? Let's go for it. Come on, 10 seconds. Come on, guys, all the way to the end. Last few seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh, well done. Well done, guys. And relax. Oh, man, well done. Just spin up. Don't worry about the power, don't worry about anything. Just relax. Bring your heart rate down, and once you kind of caught your breath, bring the leg speed back up above 80. We're now into the cool down. You can turn erg mode on if you want. Personally, I just leave it off and just cruise the rest of the session. Okay, we've got a nice long cool down to try and flush out some of the lactic acid, not lactic acid, I misspoke, lactate. Lactic acid is an energy source, remember? lactate is what we want to flush out. All the waste products building up in our muscles. Okay, just want to flush that out. So take the full cool down, guys. Don't get antsy and jump off the bike. Take it all. You really want to do your best to help your recovery, and you also will need just a minute. You just need a bit of time after a set like that. I think like I said, I did my session earlier, and I definitely needed just a minute, just a few minutes after the session, just to gather myself. So just relax, guys. So there's week 7 of the Discovery series, some Vo2max TTs. All right, really big session, looking to see how well developed your Vo2max is, looking to see at which end of the spectrum you most happily sit, whether it's at the more aerobic kind of time trialing end of the spectrum, or whether you get a real buzz out of those more anaerobic sets. Have a look at your data, guys, see what it's telling you. Don't worry if you're not particularly an expert in analysing the data, just have a little glance at it and just keep having a look at your sessions, and over time things will start to fall in place. There's plenty of help out there in terms of what all the metrics mean. We've done sessions on what all the metrics mean, so you can try and dig those out from our website. Actually, digging's probably not the most helpful word. It should be hopefully quite quite easy to find them. But well done for that, everyone. Really brutal. We've just got a few minutes left, so if anyone's got any last questions, always here to help. That will probably be down to internet lag. So you might want to turn the graphics down on RGT. Yeah, it's usually things like that come down to internet speed, or processing speed on a laptop, but usually it's internet speed, as far as I'm aware. So guys, if any of you got any kind of RGT specific technical questions, there are some user forums on Facebook, and they'll be much more adept at answering those sorts of questions. There's the RGT users group. I think there's actually a RGT support group, and that's actually monitored by one of the developers at RGT. I'm on there all the time whenever I have an issue, or one of our guides has an issue. So I really recommend joining those Facebook groups. Actually, there's also an events group. We're quite lively on the events group, so if you want to know what we're up to when there's free sessions, etc., I join the RGT user events group on Facebook. But yeah, just got, what we got? Just under, is that 2 minutes? Yeah, just under 2 minutes. Just slightly out of reach, and I've taken my glasses off. But just relax, guys. Yeah, so we've worked that Vo2max, whether you're at the more aerobic or anaerobic end of the spectrum. It doesn't really matter, guys, which end you sit at. It's about learning about where you're at, okay? And then, depending on what your objectives are, kind of nuancing your training to help with that. So you can, if you're not like a crit racer or an e-racer, if you're more down the sort of long course triathlon or 312 area side of the equation, lots, long endurance sportive or long endurance racing, then you might not necessarily want to do too many Vo2max sessions like this as part of like your regular plan. I mean, ideally, if you have the time, you would. But if you're a normal individual and you got kind of bank lots of low intensity mileage, what you can do is just pepper your sessions, a long and low intensity session, with efforts like this. Just enough to kind of keep you developing, but not enough to kind of wreck you, so you need tons of recovery. Okay? Again, we talk about things like that in that session I referenced earlier about the importance of low intensity training. So really worth a watch, that one. Just coming up to around just over 20 seconds to go. So just still cruising, guys. Make sure you have a good old stretch after this. If you need a stretch routine, head to our website again. It's the online training sources area, and get yourself a nice high protein meal on to repair that muscle damage that you will have done. Just a final little shout out, guys. I've mentioned our online training sources quite a few times this evening. If you're curious as to where that is, that's on the RIAK online page on our website. Really worth checking that out because we do refer to it quite a lot. No worries, Mike. Hey, if anyone's got any last questions, I will stick around. Otherwise, really well done, guys. Brutal session. Really well done for getting through that. Hopefully you enjoyed it to a certain extent. Don't know. No worries, guys. Really well done. Thanks for your company on Zoom, guys. Really great turnout. Well done. No worries, guys. Okay, I'll just hang on just in case there are any questions. See you, Sylvan. No worries, guys. Thanks so much for your company. Hopefully see you next week. You too, mate. Okay, thanks very much, everyone.